I've come to General Motors. For 77 years, it was the world's biggest car maker. Not anymore. Now it is on the brink of bankruptcy. And I've come to see this. GM's billion-dollar electric car, the Chevy VOLT. General Motors hopes it will help save the company. Perhaps unwisely, they've agreed to let me drive it. But first, here's the science bit.
This is a clay representation.
You make it out of clay?
We don't make the actual car out of clay.
No.
We make the design model out of clay. Because
Bob Boniface led the team that designed the VOLT.
It's like the kind of clay that your kids would play with.
Right. This is the finished product, so to speak.
It looks like an ordinary family car, but it's powered by battery.
This is the battery running right down the center. So, again, 4 seats, 4 full-size adults, a lot of functionality, storage in the console, cup holders. We love cup holders in the U.S., you know that. Here's the charge port, right? This is your charge coupler, and you just push this button. Go ahead and try it. So
You plug it in, and it takes between 3 and 8 hours to fully recharge.
And then when you're done, I have this on remote. You take this off, and there you go.
People love that stuff.
They do.
It costs up to 80 cents, about 50 pence, to recharge, but the battery will only last for 40 miles.
The beauty is when you run out of electricity, you don't simply coast to the side of the road and wait 3 to 4 hours to recharge. You have a small piston engine on board that will sustain the state of charge of the battery and let you go a few hundred more miles.
A few hundred more miles.
Yeah,
But
right.
unlike a hybrid car, the petrol engine never actually turns the wheels. It generates electricity. It is the electric motor that always drives this car, and in that sense, this is a true electric car.
The idea of the Volt is to be able to drive to burning no gasoline.
General Motors believes the Volt is the beginning of a revolution in motoring.
I don't think the internal combustion engine in petroleum is sustainable. With the Volt, we're now talking about electrically driven machines, energized by electricity, driven by electric motors, and controlled electronically and digitally. This is a new DNA for the automobile. It's literally the reinvention of the automobile. That's why it's so significant.
Who'd have thought they'd hear a vice president of the world's second biggest car maker talking about the end of the internal combustion engine? It is a dramatic change.
The American car is huge not only in numbers but in nature. Big in the body, big in the boot, big under the bonnet.
For decades, General Motors and the other big American car manufacturers have resisted making fuel-efficient vehicles.
The American car eats up petrol at the rate of about a gallon for every 14 miles.
That was 1964. Almost half a century on, and American cars do just 25 miles to the gallon. The government wants them to reach 35 miles a gallon in 2020. That means that in 11 years' time, American cars will only be as fuel efficient as Chinese vehicles are right now.
The truth is, over the last 2-3 decades, the auto industry in America fought regulation to impose fuel standards, didn't you? You fought building more efficient cars.
In the last few decades, what we wanted to do was have the price of gasoline determine the market in the United States. And all we wanted to do was compete in that market on a level playing field.
You didn't want regulations to force you to improve fuel efficiency. That's what you're saying, isn't it? You didn't, did you? Well, you got to. I mean, did you want?
Justin, I'm not going to go there.
Why not?
That's an old debate. We're a full-line manufacturer, and we're in business to build and sell cars that people want to buy. That's the business that we're in. And the price of gasoline in the United States has been low since the early 80s, and our customers voted with their dollars.
Now General Motors wants its customers to vote Volt with their dollars. It wants this to be a mass-market car. And now it is supporting the idea of government regulation. It backs carbon pricing, which would make polluting activities like driving a gasoline car more expensive.
Virtually all your products
Well,
are still driven by fossil fuels, aren't they?
Well,
by petrol, gas,
let-
or diesel.
Yeah.
So why are you supporting something which will make the driving experience for the vast majority of your customers more expensive?
Very good question. There's a huge codependence between automobiles and energy. So if gasoline is problematic from a climate change perspective or a CO2 perspective, we need some mechanism to incentivize other forms of energy.
This is the Battery Systems Laboratory.
In other words, to give customers an incentive to buy this technology.
So what's this?
That's the heart of the Volt. I think it's the heart of the Volt in general.
This lithium-ion battery is expensive, and the Volt will not be cheap. It is expected to cost around $40,000.
Once you deplete your battery, you've got a
If some kind of carbon pricing system pushes up the price of fossil fuels, this technology would become relatively more affordable.
What you
Can I
see
touch it?
here,
It's not an electric
Oh, no. This is just covers. These are covers of battery packs.
So this is 1997. This is 2010. So
2010?
yeah.
GM has managed to make the battery smaller, but today's £400 incarnation still only contains the energy equivalent of half a gallon of gasoline.
So what happens inside these chambers? Can I take a look?
Yes, you can, but
Yeah.
be very careful.
Don't touch anything.
Don't touch anything. It's high
Look at
voltage,
this.
so
Wow,
we're
this is
gonna-
great.
The incredible energy density of fossil fuels like petrol explains why the world is still powered by the stuff.
It's our...
So this is where you test out the batteries, is that right?
Absolutely. The goal was to have a controlled environment so that when we do our testing, when we do our analysis, don't touch.
Don't touch
Keep
it.
your hands to yourself.
This is a live battery.
This is a live
So this could
battery.
electrocute you.
Yes, it could.
So here's the question that everybody who's considering buying a Volt is going to want to know. How long is the battery actually going to last?
We're designing our battery to last the life of the vehicle.
How long-
And that
how long does
really
the vehicle
is- Well, my vehicles last about 10 years.
Yeah. So you reckon the battery is going to last 10 years?
That's our goal.
That's
That's
your
our
goal.
goal. So all of that means complexity.
I want to touch it.
No
Makes me
touching.
feel-
No
Really
touching.
shaky.
Finally, it's time to test this baby out.
First of all, here the vehicle is standing. It is making absolutely no noise. Now, what you see when we are accelerating...
Don't run the guy down.
No, we will not. Actually,
Wow, and there's quite acceleration there, isn't
we
there?
have just sheer acceleration and it's completely quiet. This combination didn't exist in the world of conventional technology, and this is now feasible.
You think this is a revolution, don't you?
What makes it so interesting,
Keep your hands on the wheel, Frank. Don't crash the first ever electric car.
no, we won't crash it. By the way, we would crash it very quietly.
Yeah, very. You'd still hear me scream.
And now it's my turn.
Now
Can I go a bit faster?
Yeah, let's.
Whoa, that is quite a lot of acceleration, actually. That's a bit frightening, especially in the ice.
Electric
Yeah,
cars have a lot of torque, which means they accelerate quickly. Even though this has a relatively low-powered engine, just 150 horsepower, it is very exciting to drive
Sorry, Yes.
and has a top speed of 100 miles an hour.
No, it feels. This is a big car. I've driven little electric cars, but this feels like a proper vehicle.
And this was the idea.
The Volt will be in showrooms next year. In Britain and Europe, it will be called the Ampera.
Jeremy Clarkson, eat your heart out.
Having sunk $1 billion into the Volt, it is perhaps no surprise that GM says it supports carbon pricing. But it is not alone. A host of companies now back the policy, and President Obama does too. But as we saw back in Muskegon, it's not popular with the public. So the big question is whether there is the political will to drive the policy through.
Fast we can go. Hold on tight there, Peter. I'm doing 100 miles an hour, Frank. Oh, the camera came off. I was going too fast. Yeah.
Well, at least we didn't lose the car.